everybody. This is your Designer K, and I'm hosting this show, Design Dialogues, where we bring everything about design. And today, in this episode, we will be talking about the role of psychology in UI UX design. And we have two great minds with us, Bikiron, Senior Product Designer from Swiggy, and Zaid, UI UX Designer at GeekyAnts. Thank you guys for joining us today, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So before we get into the discussion, Bikiron, would you like to tell us about yourself, about your background, and have you had any design background?
I'll try to keep it brief. So I am by education. I'm not a designer. I studied engineering from my home state Assam. So there I studied electronics and communications engineering, and just like any other self-taught designer, I got into poster designing, t-shirt designing. As a matter of fact, I also had this small kind of venture in college where we used to sell t-shirts, customized t-shirts. People used to give us designs. We used to do that thing, a little touch up. And then I used to print those t-shirts. At that time that online businesses were on there who would get few printed t-shirts at home. I used to go to a different city to print those. And from there only my journey started. After that, like, I used to design about posters or vests. Then I joined a company in Bangalore as an intern. There I worked there for 1.5 years, full-time included. After that, I shifted to a different company as a product designer. After that, this is my third company, Swiggy. So here I've been working for the last 8-9 months. It's been great so far. So I work in a growth team in Swiggy. So most of the things which I probably design won't come to you probably. I'm assuming you are a core Swiggy user. So we design stuff to activate people, retain people overall, for the growth of the company. So yes, it's going good.
That's great. I can completely relate with you because even I am not from design background. I've done my bachelor's in computer applications and worked into accounts and finance. And just because of the job satisfaction, I moved to design. So that's really nice to know your story. So Zaid, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I am from a design background. I studied at a design school only. I did a 4-year graduation course in product design. So in my course, I was taught about various design disciplines. There were many design disciplines that we were taught. We were taught about design thinking, problem solving. So after in my final year, I got into a design studio where I worked as an intern for a year. So there I got to know about what UX design mainly is and what is the concept of UX design. So after it, I pursued it on my own to learn more about this field. And once I started learning, I was enjoying the learning curve as well as making stuff and basically the very nice aspect that I like about UX design, I would say, is that you are in a way able to shape people's behavior. Right. So that is the good thing I like about this field.
Right. That's awesome.
I think I want to add to it. There's in the initial 1 or 2 years or 3 years maybe. When I meet designers though, there's a difference core critical. It's a stark difference between the people who went to design school and who didn't go to design school. Yeah. The people who went to design school, their thinking is a bit structured, and they know about design. They know how to proceed towards a problem.
Right.
But and on the other hand, the people who have learned on their own, they're on the learning journey.
Right.
But after 3 years, I think it doesn't matter. Again, after 3 years, all of them, if they are curious and willing to learn, they go and beyond that. Beyond their
guides. They learn stuff in the industry, what's happening. Right. The actual thing which is happening in the industry.
Exactly.
Definitely.
All right. So let's get started with today's topic.
Sure.
Bikiron, would you like to give us an idea about what role does psychology play in UI UX design?
Right. Just to get it out of the way, I have no psychology background. I have no psychology background. And this is something when I talk about psychology, it's not based on any books or any theories. It's just human behavior. So just wanted to get that out of the way so that I don't come across as somebody who is talking about something who doesn't know about it. Right. Yes, so talking about the role of psychology in design, right? I mean, especially in UX and UI design, it plays a huge role. I mean, like it plays a role in every other thing as well. What I feel is, so I'll give you a very basic example. Okay, so our day-to-day decisions are driven by mostly emotions. This is my opinion. Can
Yes.
debate against it, but we like to think that it's logical, but
Yeah.
most of it is very emotional. And for example, why? What do you use for payments? What app do you use for payments?
I use cred. I'm addicted to cred.
You pay through credit.
Yes.
What about it?
For Google Pay.
Right. I prefer phone pay. I mean, like, if you ask me, there's no reason as such. I mean, like, if you ask me, if you tell me to tell the reasons, then I'll go back and make it rational to make myself sound rational. But maybe like because subconsciously it's easier for me to pay through phone pay. Maybe the placement of the scanner button, or maybe like checking the balance checking button is very accessible. So things like that, right? So those are I mean, like, those are emotional decisions which is driven by UX and design as such. But I mean, like, by design, I don't want to overuse the word design in it, because by design people mean it's very miscommunicated in the industry, I feel. By design, people just mean, when I say design,
It's all about
it's all about
interface.
visual and interface, and graphic design comes to people's mind. Whereas design transcends beyond these things, right? It's about placement of a button, even though like can spend a month on it, and then you can get it right, right?
Yes.
But at the surface level, it's like if you say that, people will assume something else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Zaid, what's your take on psychology in design? How do you use psychology in your daily work?
Yeah. So I really relate to one point that Bikiron said, that as humans, we are very emotional and we get attached to whatever things we are using, and we have our own perception and answers we develop of if someone asks us why we prefer some certain things. So, but this can be taken back a little if we step back and see why a person or a user, if we talk about any design, is preferring a certain product over a certain other competitions. So I believe if we step back a little, so as human beings, we have past experiences, and through those experiences, we shape our perception and we take decisions in our daily lives.
Right.
So, the other thing is that psychology teaches us and is crucial for design is that, so we cannot take in account for every user that our product has, and what specific needs that every user has. We have to find a general or a unique need that is common between everyone. So definitely, so that is what psychology is helping us for. I believe that psychology is playing that role to help us identify those common backgrounds that our potential audience or our users will have when we are trying to solve a problem.
Absolutely. I completely agree with your point. And Vikiron, if you can tell us in which phase of the design process can we start, observing users and user behaviors, and when does psychology come in place in this design process phase?
Right. That's a very interesting question, actually. So I would start off with saying it depends. But then, like, actually it depends on what you're designing, right? So for example, like, you designing a 0 to 1 product, you don't know what it's gonna look like. You don't know any competition. There's no such product in the market, right? That becomes very tricky. So then, like, you have to take in consideration the value you're providing to people. Their psychology would play a huge role in understanding if the people need this product or not. So I'll give you a basic example. When you do a user research for a 0 to 1 product, for example, like, there is a problem in the market and I want to solve it, and I don't see any other product doing it, right? Then you'll be like, what's the next step you do? then that's a hypothesis in your mind that, okay, like, I face this problem.
Right.
Let me try to solve it.
Yeah.
Then from there, like you will talk to your friend, right?
Yes.
And talk to your friend, then okay, this is like a problem. And then I will solve it. Right. And 90% of the time they'll say, yes, it's a problem. And I want you to solve it. Right. But that is not the truth always. Right. Because people are nice and people want to support us. I mean, like, they're not lying to us, but they want to, support us in a way. So that's why that's why they would say yes almost all the time. But that's not the truth. So you find you have to hear also psychology is playing a huge role in having a clear mindset of yours, right? While doing the research. It's called the Mom Test. There's a book called Mom Test. It's a 120-page book. It's a great book. I would recommend it to everybody who was Padilla 0 to 1 and who's interested in doing user research. So it says ki if you tomorrow, if you go to your mom and tell her, this is something which I'm building, right? This is solving this problem. She'll say, yes, it's nice, like build it, I'll use it. And then you'll ask her, will you pay for it? And she'll say, yes. But that's your mom, right? She loves you and she wants to support you. But at the end of the day, you make it, then like you realize these people like her are not using it. Maybe she's using it because of the fact that she loves you.
Yeah.
But that, like, how do you validate? How do you get real validation, right? I mean, like, there are like ways to do it, but one of the ways is getting commitment from people, right? Commitment can be in many ways. One is monetary.
Yeah.
Right. One is like time. They get their time. One is like their reputation.
Right.
So, for example, I want to solve a problem. For example, there's a cab crisis in Bangalore.
Yeah.
You don't get cabs. So I want to build a product which may be like, combine all Rapido, Uber, Ola, and like, it's a aggregator, cab aggregator.
Yeah.
So that's one idea, right? I just top of my head.
Yeah.
That's just one idea.
Right.
And if I have to validate or invalidate that idea,
Right.
I have to probably like make a website.
Yeah.
And make people, fill up a form.
Right.
In order to get the early access.
Right.
And then people are giving their time to it.
Yes.
Right. Another way is like I'll make people pay money.
Yeah.
For example, like I'll charge people $40.
Yeah.
I mean, like not bucks, rupees,
Yeah.
up to rupees, or
Yeah.
like let's say 99 rupees for the early access. Right. If the people pay, that's sort of like one level of commitment,
Yes.
which validates your idea, right?
Right.
So that is the monetary validation, time based validation. Third one is reputation. Like, you build a business SaaS product. Right?
Yes.
You build a SaaS product 0 to 1. It's an initial ideation state. You go to a company and they say, okay, it's nice. I like it. I want to, get involved in it. I want to get early access. Right. You tell it to their friends. Right?
Yes.
That's reputation, right?
Yeah.
That's the reputation will be on stake if they don't recommend a good product or those things to somebody else.
Right.
So these three are the kinds of commitments people. That's how like you can use psychology and get clarity on your user research.
Right.
I mean, like that. I mean, like psychology here is playing the reversal. You have to people say something, but they mean something else.
Right.
Yes.
So you're not really building it yet, but you have to understand their emotions. You can use psychology like that.
And I would like to add a point there. That's the biases where
Exactly.
well, I listened to a podcast where he was saying when you are doing user interviews in the user research phase, do not talk to people who are close to you, your family, your friends, because you're always tend to get get the biased answers. They are going to be sweet to you, and they think about something, and the response they will be putting it out is different. So you will have to catch hold of people who are actually like a stranger or somebody who is new to you.
Exactly.
So that's when you get the exact answers that you want.
Right. And also, like while doing research, you should be always at a phase where one, survey can disregard your whole thing. Otherwise, you're not asking the right kind of questions. We just, we'll see you both.
Absolutely. That's very interesting, whatever examples you gave us.
Yeah. So as you both said and explained the role of psychology and how as designers we use them, So, and you also talked about three things that kind of helps as designers us to bring our users more closer to our solutions. So, I would like to add just one important point, that is trust. So, trust is something that plays a very crucial role, and once we as designers are able to build trust with our customers or users or our audience, so we uh, it is an easy go for us. The whatever next phase comes in, it will be easy for us. So I believe how we can earn trust is basically as Bikiron talked about and you also talked about. So the user research, and there are biases, so we have to overcome them. So how a user research is done? So I believe I can give a short just the description. Like if we do it, if we do the user research this way. So basically, there's a method in user research called ethnography, where we observe our users in the real environment, like how they are behaving.
Yeah.
And let's say we are trying to solve a certain problem, even if we are developing an app or developing a website. So people tend to behave in a certain way.
You're right.
So when ethnography is done, so we are able to observe our user in the live environment, and we'll also be able, and then we interview them. What problem did they face as at a certain point? So it will help us understand their motivations or why they are behaving in a certain way,
Right.
and then we will be able to design or ideate a better solution for them.
Right. People say something and do something else.
Yeah, definitely. People tend to say something else, and as Kavya talked about, biases are definitely there. Whenever you do a survey on Google Docs, or let's say you're talking to someone close to you about your product, so they will definitely give you a good feedback.
Right.
And they don't do it because they want your product to be failed or anything like that. They just want you to be successful, and they just want you to feel good. So those biases are really, I would say, not good for us,
Right.
and they definitely harm us.
Yeah.
But there are ways that we can overcome these. So the first way could be, I believe, if we ask open-ended questions, descriptive questions in our survey. So it will allow the person who is answering it to be more descriptive. They will not, if you are asking just a yes or no question, they'll just end it in a yes. So if we if we get time and if we ask open-ended question and we ask our users or the person to elaborate a little on that particular point that you want to know about, so that might prove much more helpful. If you ask a close-ended question.
Right. I mean, like, adding on to that, questions like how often do you use Swiggy? That's a very bad question. Because
Yes.
everyone will say that a lot.
Yeah.
Or not so much. Rather, you could, convert that question into when was the last time you used Swiggy?
Yeah.
It was last week, last month, or this evening.
Correct.
So that's one good example where you can be very crisp and just move into their minds.
Yeah, I can add to that. So just the other day, what happened was I went to some restaurant with my friend. So I used Dine Out on Swiggy.
Right.
So what happened was, like, after a day, so a guy called me from Swiggy only.
Mhm.
So the questions he asked, I really realized like how Swiggy is doing and what they plan now is, so they are doing ethnography, but not in a live environment. What that person did was he asked me like 5 to 6 questions. How was your experience? How much would you rate it?
Right.
And did you enjoy your time at that particular restaurant? And he asked, the last question was, if you wanted a certain feature to be implemented in Dine Out, what would it be?
Yeah.
So he asked an open-ended question with me. Now it's up to me if I'm I want to answer it. I'll definitely answer it in a very nice way so that it can be utilized by a designer or someone who wants to improve or solve a problem.
Right.
So I definitely gave him an answer which is useful for me as well. Like if that features get implemented, as well as it would be helpful for Swiggy too. So asking a open-ended question really matters a lot. If you're doing a survey or you're trying to get feedback from your audience.
We give that honest answers because we know, because we also expect the honest answers, right? If at all we didn't know, like before getting into design, if I had gotten any surveys, I would have done the same thing what other people are doing now, right?
We just want to get this over.
Yeah, exactly. So, Zed, since you talked about trust, I would like to ask, since trust is also a part of, psychological principle, which is psychology of persuasion, would you like to tell us a bit more about it?
So I believe I can talk about it a little bit. So persuasive design is like, so as a society we behave in a certain way in society, right? So as society we look for approval. Let's say uh, we are going to do a certain action, or let's say we are buying a product. So we do look, if we are kind of insecure or confused in ourselves, so we do look for approval in the society or someone who can approve us so that we can feel better in ourselves.
So, Zed, can you tell us how colors play an important role in psychology?
Yeah, so definitely. So what happens with colors is, so from past experience, we know that a certain color has a certain meaning, and past experience is one of the factors that affect our color psychology. Others are like our which culture we belong to, which region we belong to. So for example, in Indian culture, white is a color that we wear if we have a loss in our family. But if you go to American continent or European continent, you'll see white they wear as a celebration. So one example that I can give is, during my degree project in my college, so I had to come up with branding as well as website redesign for a client. So what happened there was, so the whole website I designed, so the it had black background. The whole website had black background, and I utilized glass morphism and other design trends. So what happened there was, so I was in a jury. So I was in a jury. What happens, like external professors will come in and they'll judge what you have designed and how have your design process flown through the whole project, and then they'll evaluate based on that. So one of the most interesting question one of my professor asked was, Zad, do you know what is the meaning of black in our country? So I was like, sir, I don't understand your question. Initially, I didn't understand the question he was asking. Then he elaborated and said, he, as in India, as like a lot of cultures perceive black color as not a holy color. So did you take into consideration that this website having a black color might also affect the audience who is viewing it? So I had to answer him that time, no, no, sir, I didn't take this into consideration. But definitely at that time, I learned that colors play very deep role in our products, and people will perceive it that way. If there are stereotypes, there are audiences. I'm not saying they are right or wrong, but they have their own experience, and based on that, they will definitely try to judge a certain product. So having like choosing a color definitely matters in a product.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for example, if you look at all the food or beverage industry, most of them will have this yellow and red color.
Yellow, red, oranges.
Yeah, yellow, red, orange. So
You'll never see a food brand with a blue color.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Blue represents something which is
Because why that is the bias, because in nature, no, there is no food which exists as blue. Yeah, in blueberries, not blue, right? Any edible item is not blue. And similarly, you can't find a green colored flower mostly,
Yeah.
right? Think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why, like, when you cutlery and the plates where we eat, no, you find blue very less in the market also.
Right.
Maybe turquoise,
Yeah.
but then like if you eat on a blue plate, I don't know if it's true or not. I just read it somewhere. Psychologically, you would eat lesser probably. That's why people who are on a diet, they try to eat a fat on their plate.
On blue plate.
On a blue plate.
Yeah, these kinds of concepts are
No, that's on bias, right? That's on bias.
nice one bias.
Maybe like we didn't have that bias from nature. Our perception of that is different.
yes.
But also there are like certain companies who break these biases and set their own trend. Some colors play roles in our decisions, which translate into design because of our biases, which have been formed by cultures, like you said,
Yes.
and also by nature, and also by certain events in history, right?
Right.
So, for example, like colors like gold, silver, and these kind of things are very premium. Black is also considered premium, right? In UI design, black is considered luxury.
Yes.
Right. I mean, like royal and all. But maybe like in real life, that might not be true. And like in real life, gold is premium, and gold and silver and these colors are premium.
Right.
So I mean, like those are formed by some events. Those perceptions are formed by some events. But yeah, I mean, like I like interesting things where people sometimes just break out of that bias and they just form their own trend.
Right. Definitely.
So, Bikiron, can you tell us what is cognitive load and how we can break that in our designs?
Right. Just I'll give you a live example. Can you see this wall, right?
Yes.
There's cameras in front of us. We are here, and this wall is pretty plain. Doesn't have anything, right? Because we are the subject, and there's nothing on the background, so that we pop out in the video, right? That's basically cognitive load. When you see the video and you want to focus on something, anything else which is not adding to the purpose is a cognitive load.
Not adding value to
Not adding value to your designs and your focus is a cognitive. For example, like this wall had a lot of things, which is not always true. This is not like a 1 or 0 kind of a thing. You can place plants and you can place different things in it, and still make it work. But this is a safe choice, right? You make it, keep it black, you keep the focus on the subject. So that is cognitive load in real life. So what you're asking is, I'm always like trying to answer that thing in a real life scenario, then which translates to a digital experience, right? So for example, when you design a banner or a landing page, or even a UI, let's say a form,
Yeah.
right? In forms, probably like you have seen, there's this one company called Typeform. They can make forms in it, right? As opposed to traditional forms where you see, I mean, like a lot of fields and information at the first go, and then you feel like, oh, it's a lot. I don't want to fill it up. Rather, like now companies have done it. What they have done is they place just one minimal thing on one page. They have put it into stages, and there's one um, gamified bar.
Yes.
Very right. Fill up one state, and then you go to the next stage, and then the last stage it's just almost, it says key almost done, right? That is one good example where it's empathetic design.
Right.
They can put it on the same page. It's functional. It works. It's gonna work fine. But just to empathize with the user, it's consumer backward, right? You don't want the user to feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
Cognitive load adds make you overwhelmed, right? So to reduce it, like you do certain kind of things like that. Maybe like in a banner, you don't put all the information at one place, or like technically it makes sense. That's why people who don't know design, when you work with people are from other backgrounds, they often tell you to put everything on the same slide, same banner, which makes sense in their head, but practically it's not a good idea, maybe because of cognitive load, right?
Right.
That's why Apple banners are so minimal.
Yeah.
I mean, like Apple is a very premium sort of example. Take any other company who has good banners, go to the airport road, and they're like, people will have good kind of banners where it talks about just one thing and one call to action from there.
That's right.
Right. So that is like in the physical world, digital world also. If the more things you put on the screen, the harder it's going to be for you to make a decision, right? Then I think it's law.
Yeah.
But on the contrary, there's like other side of the coin. In certain softwares, right? Maybe like take a B2B SaaS software,
Right.
Take Salesforce, for example.
Right.
Take After Effects,
Yes.
for example, right? Those have a lot of elements in the
In the software.
interface, right? Which is also fine because when you learn some software like that, right? Salesforce, if you go to a company, people who use Salesforce, they have been trained to use those software. So those softwares are activity backward, not consumer backward. So for those softwares, like it's necessary to put those all things in the same
Yeah.
interface, which is not necessarily a bad thing always, right? So that is the other side of the coin. of the cognitive load can be not as bad in some cases.
But even if you observe in those apps as well, maybe I'm only talking about Adobe products, since they have a lot of things on their UI, I mean, people are trained to work on that. They have few, UX as well there. Like they are using everything in black so that, they are not straining the user's eyes. It's all a dark theme. So,
Right, that's a good point. Yeah, I think every editing and design of software should be in dark mode. I'm glad Figma brought in dark mode. Because I like to work at night, and it used to strain my eye. Every time I used to open Figma, I used to keep the brightness at the lowest possible setting. So I mean, like, yeah, like you said, right? They're like, obviously it should be usable and accessible. But since people are used to using it from the first version, maybe like the first version which they launched was not as complicated as it is now today. And people have grown with the software, right? For example, Instagram. So my mother doesn't use Facebook or Instagram, right? So right now, if you open Facebook, it's a lot. It's a lot on the software, but not for us because we have been used to using it. Maybe like we have left using Facebook, but people who have been using it, we have seen the very basic Facebook, which had three icons. One is your friends, notifications, and then the message.
Right.
Three icons were there, and now it's like a whole lot, right? We grew with the software. We have been trained by the software itself, right? Their cognitive load plays a negative role for new users, but not for people who have been using it for a long time, right? So yeah, that's one example.
I would also like to add one example here. So if a very general example, and everyone might be aware of it. So if we see Google search page,
Right.
so it has just Google icon on it, and then it has a search bar where you can easily search, and it will display you the results. Then, but if you go to Bing or Yahoo, so they have made a chaos of their UI. They have the news there, they have articles, they have ads, everything they have. So cognitive load is also like if we try to enhance the cognitive load, so it will basically decrease the usability of a certain interface. But on the other side, as you talked about, there are softwares or products in the market which have a lot of information in one interface only. But I believe they need to have it.
Right.
The need is because, as you talked about, After Effects or some SaaS product.
Right.
So, as a user of that particular product, let's say After Effects we are talking about, so you need to have everything in one place so that you don't spend a lot of time in finding a certain command or a certain feature.
Right.
So definitely cognitive load, if we decrease it, it plays a very good role. But a lot of times there might be scenarios that some products will need a lot of cognitive load. It will not work as reducing the usability, but enhancing the usability.
I think the best example here would be Wikipedia.
Right.
We have so much in the page, but we still need it.
Right.
We usually go refer if we want end-to-end updated information. We do refer Wikipedia.
Right. Yeah, we have been trained to using it.
Yes.
Yeah, the practical example would be a newspaper. You never say that a newspaper is chaotic or its layout is bad, because you need the information in that layout.
Right.
So according to the need, so we have to think for our user who is going to use that particular thing or product.
Yeah.
How should I design this particular interface or whatever we are designing so that it's usable for them.
Right.
Every time if we think about like decreasing the cognitive load, it will be bad. If we made After Effects based on this concept of decreasing the cognitive load, it would be really difficult to use for their end users.
Right. It's interesting how as designers we're talking about pros of cognitive load.
There are, as you talked about, so everyone, like as you said, you are interested in products or designs where people break the rules,
Right.
and they go beyond them.
Right.
So I guess this would be a good example where we are breaking the rule and it's needed.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. It was a great conversation about discussing about pros of cognitive load. let's move on to the next segment of the show where we will try to understand what is gamification and why is it so popular these days. Can you help us understand?
Yes, sure. I'll try to answer in a good way, so that like we get past all that buzz that's going on in the social media about gamification, right? So let's understand what a game is first. By game, right? It or what do you mean by game? When I say game, what comes to your mind? Then
I would say two things. One is challenge. The second one is surprise.
Right. And the dopamine effect that we get, we feel happy when we play the game, and you are rewarded for that as well.
Right.
So
Right.
those are
Yes, exactly that. When you say challenge, surprise, reward, dopamine, right? So these are good things which we want in life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard anybody say that I got bored and I slept during the game. Maybe like watching a game is a different thing, but while playing, maybe not.
Yeah.
We all like to play games. Maybe video games, maybe like a physical game or like a sport also, right? Why games are so loved is because these things, dopamine, and then other hormones, which gives us happiness and just right. So there's like when I say gamification, I think gamification has already been embedded into our lives in different aspects. Where you play, you drive a car. That's also some sort of a gamified experience, right? You go speed it up at some places, right, to get a good feeling about it, right?
Yeah.
So by that, this one person who is the father of gamification, modern products.
Yes.
His name is Yu.
Kaichu.
Yeah.
Kaichu.
Yeah, his name is Yukai Chu.
Yeah.
His name is Yukai Chu. So he has this concept called octalysis. So he has basically articulated what gamification is into 8 core principles. Some of them are like accomplishment. Right?
Yeah.
Accomplishment is something which you get that effect when you hit a 6, when you in the club,
Yeah.
when you hit a goal. And then one principle is there where you feel larger than yourself. Like it's sort of like when you do something, when you, for example, like you represent your school in some sport, right? Then you feel like bigger than something which is part of something which is bigger than yourself, right? That's one sort of feeling.
Right.
Another is scarcity, right? When you're when there's a sale,
Yeah.
when there's a sale, you want to get the best things in low prices, and they create that FOMO effect. It's ending soon. There's a timer
Right.
ending in 48 hours. So that's also one sort of gamification, right? Another is it can be unpredictability.
Yes.
So I think I named like 4, 5.
Yeah.
Like 8. Unpredictability is when you don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
That's where you enjoy a thriller movie.
Definitely.
Or social media also. You keep on scrolling and you don't know what's going to come to your feed.
Right.
So online shopping also to some extent, right? So like that, gamification is not some unattainable thing which is very expensive or something like that. It's already there in our lives. It's already been implemented in different aspects of our life, made digitally or made like in a physical sense. I'll give you some good examples on digital products, right?
Right.
You said you use Cred, right? When you pay through Cred, you collect those coins and the new thing, the stickers. What are they called?
stickers.
The badge.
Yeah.
Have you collected those when you pay through QR?
Right. Pay through QR, and it's usually the cashbacks or the coins that you get.
This thing, no,
Spin the wheel.
no, not that. We get those stickers. You talk.
I know. So they are. I've not used them, but I know the concept. What happens is
Right.
you achieved something. So you completed something. So they'll give you a badge or a sticker. So that basically you're in a way rewarded for completing a certain task.
Right, exactly. That is there. So I'll give you an example of Google Pay, right?
Yep.
So Google Pay used to have like very good cashback coupons.
Yes.
Definitely.
Back then.
Back then, yes, people, I think people used to earn in thousands also,
Yes.
some people. So that was a very good gamified experience. That money they have invested in it. So people we got used to the scratching of the card, right?
Right.
Even the money amount was small.
Yeah.
Like if I get 12 rupees, it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
But the joy was something which we craved for. And like scratching the card. Same scratch cards also were available in physical products, like
Yeah.
in Coke bottles, and you peel off the sticker and you do
The snack packets you
Snack
find
packets
as
also.
also toy.
That's one good way how gamification has been implemented.
Yeah.
Another example could be right in cred, maybe like you collect coins, so that's a reward and accomplishment sort of thing, right?
Right.
You do something, then you get something back and come back to see it. That's one thing. Another is investments. There's one principle called investments in gamification, where you do something, then you do something else, then you come back to see how it's growing, right? A good example is a game itself. Have you played Clash of Clans?
Yeah.
So there, like you train your army, you build a house, you make some workers really hard to work on your house, and then you come back after 8 hours, your house is built. So that's one good example of gamification. So that is how like gamification has been in our lives. It can be used. It's a vehicle basically.
Right.
You want people to do something in a meaningful way, rather than showing and throwing an ad in front of their face. I'd rather make them play a game, which is delightful for them also. Then I'll make them do something which is kind of like manipulative, but manipulation is not the right word because it's used in a wrong context over the years. But yeah, it can be like a good thing also. So in Swiggy, we have been doing something similar. I won't be able to talk about it right now because it's not out yet.
Right.
But yes, so it's much better than throwing a ad in front of your face and make you do something like in that, right? That FOMO effect is also one sort of gamification only. When
Right.
Cred started, they had that only membership kind of a
Right.
only invitees can join Cred. Same goes for, have you heard about Art Browser?
Not our browser. Clubhouse is there. They work on the same concept.
Right, Clubhouse also.
Yeah.
So there's this also software called Art Browser by Browser Company. It's a great tool. I have been using it for some time now. So they're only invite only software right now. I have, as a user, I get 5 invites. I can send it to my friends. If you want, I can send it to you. So it's built on Chromium, the engine which powers Chrome. And then the browser is very good. Usability is very good. But then it's creating that curiosity and scarcity in my mind, right? And then I'm feeling the sense of FOMO that only certain people are getting to use it. That makes it
Right.
valuable, rare. That's probably like the reason I would go out of my way to try a new browser.
Right.
That's probably like a good strategy for a browser company, because there's like a lot of browsers in the market, and we're used to using Chrome, and that's the best possible bet they can take on migrating people from Chrome to Arc.
When we talk about gamification, I want to create a difference between playing a game and implementing gamification in a product.
Yeah.
So I say this because while making a game, or how game design works is, every game has a story. So on that story, only that story engages its players. So once I'm interested in the story, I'll definitely play along the whole game, and I want to reach the end, and I want to see what happens in the end. So that is my reward while I'm playing a game. But when the gamification is implemented in the product, so what happens is we'll try to use gamification for solving a problem, or maybe rewarding a user so that they get more engaged to our platform or to whatever we have designed. So, for example, if one good example can be, let's say, there is a new app that launched. Nowadays, we see a lot of apps like Rummy Circle and these kinds of app, right? So they implemented gamification in a very good manner, because I say this because they advertise their app by saying when you onboard on their application, they'll give you 1,000 rupees, right? So you're getting a reward while onboarding. And there are also other apps, as Bikiron talked about Google Pay. So Google Pay also does one very interesting thing, like in festive seasons like Diwali and Holi. What they do is they implement a small game in their application. So what happens is like you'll compete with your friends on their application, trying to collect some coins or bubbles. And once you collect them, you'll get some scratch coupons. You'll reach different levels. So in like when we implement gamification in a product, so we never use a story. We try to reward our user to enhance the engagement.
Right.
So for me, it's the basic concept for solving a problem, or in the for and implementing a reward mechanism so that our user spends more time on the platform. That is what gamification is.
Basically, it is the engagement.
Yeah, like basically gamification. Every time whenever we think about implementing a gamification, I remember now. So one of the projects like 2 months back I was working on. So we did research and we found out that if we implement, so it was a charity app as well as website we were building. So what we had to do was, so their app was very old. So we had to redesign and do the whole research first to understand the mindset and everything of their users. So from scratch we did everything. So while doing the research, we also came up with the thought that if we implement, like let's say if I as a donor I'm donating to a charity, right? And if I'm getting some kind of reward that I'm able to showcase on my social media. So these times we do want to share everything what is happening in our life on social media, right?
Yes.
So let's say a reward I earned on that app, and if I'm able to share it on a public social platform, so it will, like, I'll also feel good about that, like I'm making an impact, as well as I'll also try to motivate others, right?
Yes.
So what I did was I implemented a feature that is also helping the users to like engage more to the app, as well as it's also helping that brand to publicize for their publicity.
That's where they're closing the loop.
Yeah. So yeah, that is where the another design term comes in. That is omni channel.
Right.
So you're now completing a loop. So you're generating a lead, and then you're also thinking the cycle where new users can come in the same platform and start donating.
Right. So I'd like to add to that. It's an ongoing debate where people will talk about whether it's a game or is it a gamified experience, right? Like I said, right?
Yes.
I think there's a very thin line between these two. Whenever you think about a game, right?
Right.
There also you're doing something. And
Yes.
half-page stages, you get rewarded.
Yes.
Then, there's like a reward which can vary according to the product, right? After that, like, think about a game. Let's say class plans.
Yes.
They're like rewarding you. You get accomplishments. You get other gamification principles are being embedded there.
Right.
At the end of the day, they're setting you diamonds
Right.
for money, right?
Right.
Similar to maybe like a different product, which is not a game.
Right.
There may be like a trend is sending you other electronic items or
Right.
which you can buy through your coins.
Yes.
Mediums of reward.
Right. It's on the surface, if you look at it, okay, it's a payments app, it's a game.
Yeah.
But at the core, like if you go closer and closer, the difference are very thin.
Yes.
Gamified experiences and games. So games are also gamified experiences where your core proposition is different.
Yeah.
Yes. Just one thin line that you're discussing about is a story or a narrative.
Right.
So throughout,
Gamified experiences can also have stories.
definitely, if implemented in a broad way. So, but we do refrain from implementing a broad gamified experience because it is going to take research. And once you go into development, if you push it into development, it is going to take resource in development also. So basically, it is used. So I've ever been to I have been to websites, that portfolio websites that people have designed, where their whole website is a game. But I have never been to any product, or I've never experienced or used any product as such in the market, which is a whole gamified experience through and through, or like they have a broad gamification concept implemented. Because one thing that happens in the industry is So we are time bound,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So time bound makes us money bound.
Yeah.
So client will come in, or your company will come in. So if they don't have a lot of time and they want to go to the market in like 2 months, the people are always in hurry.
Yeah.
So they refrain from investing money and time.
Got it. Got it. That's a very, real point, although I wouldn't call it a fair point, because like it's not fair to us or people who
Yeah,
want to,
designers,
we want to
criticize
create the
this.
product.
Yeah, we want to build an immersive
Right.
experience.
But in a long run, if people can invest that amount of time and resources to it, it pays in the long run. That's something which I definitely truly believe from the core.
Definitely. I really agree with you. And I hope we do with clients who are ready to invest time and money
Sure.
to build like these immersive experiences.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today.
Thanks a lot.
It was great meeting you both and discussing about psychology. Hope to see you soon again in the show.
Sure.
All right, then, this was it for today's episode. I will be seeing you soon with another episode and another topic and another speaker. Until then, see you all. This is your K signing off. Sayonara.